Hello everyone. Okay, so let's create an example program that is going to help us understand more of how the OR logical operator works. All right, so let's create a program that is going to allow a user to type in their age. And the program is going to determine whether that age is a teenage, right? So it's going to determine whether that person is a teenager. So if you're a teenager, then that means you're of the ages 13. Well, so if you're 12, you're not a teenager, right? So 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. If you're 20, you're not a teenager. So these ages 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. If you have any of these ages, then that means you're a teenager. So if you have an age less than 13, okay, then that means you're not a teenager, right? Or if you have an age greater than 19, then that means you're not a teenager. Okay, so you can't be a teenager and have an age less than 13, right? You can't be a teenager and have an age greater than 20. It's either you have an age less than 13 or have an age greater than 19, or you're a teenager. Okay, so let's first ask the user to type in their age. So I'm going to call the input function and display a message to the user saying, please enter your age. So the input function is going to pop up this message to the user, and the user is going to type in a value. Now whatever the user types is going to be returned as a string, but we need a number. We don't need a string. We need a number so we can actually work with it as a number. And so we need to convert whatever the input function is returning as a string from a string to an int. So I'm going to call the int function around the input function to convert whatever the input function is returning as a string to an int. And the int function is going to return that value, the value that the user has typed, basically converted to an int. So when it's returning it, we need a place to store it. So I'm going to create a variable called user age that is going to store whatever value the int function is returning. Okay. And so now I have the user age. I can use an if statement and the OR logical operator to test to see if this age is a teenage or this person is a teenager. So I'm going to create an if statement and say if the user age is less than 13, if you have an age less than 13, then you're not a teenager, right? Not just that, or if the user age is greater than 19, if you have an age greater than 19, that means you're not a teenager, right? So if at any time, if any of these conditions are true, if at least one of them is true, then we print out the message. We know this person is not a teenager, so we print out the message saying you are not a teenager, right? Else means that if the user's age is not less than 13, or if the user's age is if the user's age is not less than 13, yeah, and the user's age is also not greater than 19, then in that case, both of these are false. Else means when both of these are false, because when both of these are false, the entire expression becomes false. So else means when both expressions are false. In that case, you're a teenager, right? If your age is not less than 13, and if your age is not greater than 19, then that means your age falls within one of these ages. You have one of these ages, and when you have one of these ages, you're a teenager. So let's print out a message saying you are a teenager. So let's run this and see. So please enter your age. I'm going to enter 28. All right, that's my actual age. Hit enter, and it says you are not a teenager, right? Because I'm not a teenager. 28 is not a teenage. Let's run the program again. I'm going to enter 18. 18 falls within one of these ages. Hit enter, and it says you are a teenager. All right, so with the OR logical operator again, if at any time any of these expressions results to true, if at any time any of these expressions results to true, the entire expression results to true. The only time this expression results to false is when both expressions result to false. The reason why it said you are a teenager is because the age 18 was not less than 13. At the same time, the age 18 was not greater than 19. And so because both of these were false, it says you are not a teenager. But if I type in an age, okay, that is either less than 13 or greater than 19, so let's say 12, and hit enter, then it says you are not a teenager, because at least one of them is true. And if one of them is true, then if at least one of them is true, then the entire expression becomes true. So that's why we're seeing you are not a teenager. Okay, so If you have any questions, please comment down below, and I'll do everything to respond to them as always. Thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time with the next program or next video. All right then, bye-bye.